whatever that is.
Something totally
Yeah.
odd.
All right, yeah, why not?
Well, howdy, ladies and gentlemen. Michael here again from Guitargate. And thanks for tuning in to all this stuff at GUITCON 2018. We're here at the famous Warwick factory, and Mark Neukirchen.
Mark Neuk, I don't know.
Yeah.
Mark Neuk, yeah, I'm terrible.
Germany. And so make sure you follow the hashtag GUITCON 2018. Lots of cool stuff coming out. So I'm here with Adam Neely.
How's it going?
And dude, I've been really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I've been really excited about this whole thing, yeah.
Dude, so, you know, one thing I'm talking to everybody about is that it's so cool to meet other people that make a living with an instrument in their hands in a new way, online, in front of cameras and computers. Of course, we all still gig and write and do all that other stuff, but you're one of the guys that I was really excited to talk to because all of your videos seem extremely well thought out.
Thank you, man.
Extremely detail-oriented, along with the editing too. Like the one favorite I had is was it the quarter note? It's like quarter note triplets or something.
Oh, the unperformable rhythm.
Yes.
Offbeat quarter note triplets.
Yeah, that one. And I was like, how the hell did this guy write this out and do that? Like I said, your stuff is super strong, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, the way I think about it is I like to try and think about whenever I'm making a YouTube video, like I'm making kind of a film. Like, and I really try and think about it as a very different discipline from just music and just like talking to the camera about music in the way that I would teach, you know, a student like in real life.
Yeah.
And so I think of it as a whole totally different medium, and that's kind of the exciting thing is that there's this new way of connecting with people involving, you know, not only your musical ability, but your ability to teach, your ability to connect with somebody, and then also you draw in a bunch of different skills like video editing and narration and voiceover acting, and it becomes this whole
it's a lot of different skill sets.
Yeah, and so I was actually talking to somebody who's not a musician. I think they're going into biomedical or something at some college, but they were talking to me and they're a fan of the channel and they were like also a musician, and they were thinking like, you know, for the longest time in science, people will be really, really specialized in one thing.
Yeah.
And like the whole scientific fields over the past century, people have gotten more and more specialized into like, you know, some crazy subdivision of quantum mechanics or something ridiculous, like really, really specific.
Isn't that pretty true with most things?
Yeah.
Like people generally only get really good at one thing because there's only so much time to work on getting better at something.
Yeah, exactly. But because of this new paradigm, because of this new, I guess, means of connecting with people on digital media content creation, everybody has to be less specialized. It's much more a return, and this is what this guy was saying, it's much more a return to the Renaissance method of like,
fascinating.
Like everybody's a polymath. Everybody has to be a polymath. Everybody has to do a bunch of different things. Like, you know, Leonardo da Vinci invented and painted and contributed to mathematics. I think I actually don't know a whole lot about Leonardo da Vinci, but he did so many things, and we kind of have to. Just that's the name of the game, and it's exciting because they all come together into like a big whole, like an exciting whole, and that's kind of like what I've thought about when I'm making videos. Is I try and tie everything that I do into, you know, this one thing, one method of connecting with somebody.
It really shows because a lot of us, myself certainly included, you know, didn't have any video editing background.
Oh yeah.
I mean, certainly, you know, maybe a little bit of audio, but like, you know, as far as like the lighting or even learning YouTube algorithms and marketing or any of that stuff, I didn't know anything. At all. And so it's so easy to say, you know what? I'm just going to try to be a really good teacher and a really good player.
Yeah.
And try to be, you know, make eye contact with the camera and be genuine.
Which I haven't been doing. I've been looking at you, though.
Well, because we're having a conversation. You got this one,
okay.
and you got this one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but like that's a skill in itself, looking at a camera lens and having your eye look like the eye of someone else, like when they're looking at it.
Of course, yeah.
You know, but what I'm trying to say is that
you learn it the hard way every time, too, because you...
God damn, don't we?
Every time, and that's you know, that's the traditional method of learning. In a lot of ways, is trial and error, but it is a lot slower to learn trial and error by trial and error, which is unfortunate. But that's kind of
it's slower, but it's more effective.
It's way more effective, but it takes way longer.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus, I told you before, I have 3 kids, and you can't tell them anything. They have to feel the pain. They have to feel to learn.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. I mean, I know that was certainly true. Like when I first started Guitar Gate, I talked about this the other day with you. I mean, I lost money for over 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. But when you lose money and you feel it, you figure it out.
Yeah, of course.
So what I kind of wanted to know from you is, well, 2 things. 1, how'd you get started? And 2, how do you go about picking the topics for your stuff? Because I don't see other people tackling your stuff, which makes me think that, do you get requests for this stuff, or is it, how do you do it?
Yeah, so...
How and why do you do it?
Yeah, how and why? Important questions, and that's a big, I guess, part of the thesis statement of my channel. How and why? How and why music?
Yeah.
So I started my YouTube channel February of 2016.
Dude, you
rocket ship. No, sorry, not 2016. 2006. So I've had it for 12 years. Sorry, not 2016. So I've had it for 12 years, and I've been posting for a very long time. And so I think that's the reason I owe a lot of my success to the fact that I've been doing it for a while.
And did you always do the 1 a week?
No. I've only been doing 1 a week for 4 years.
Okay. And
my inspiration was not a music YouTube channel. It was not music channels. It was this channel, Idea Channel, PBS Idea Channel. The PBS, the broadcasting, like public broadcasting network, had and still has a digital distribution media wing, and they had this channel called Idea Channel run by this guy Mike Rugnetta, and it's not being run anymore, but it was a fascinating sort of blend of popular culture, philosophy, aesthetics, and it was just a really interesting and entertaining channel. And I was watching a lot of this, and I was like, man, that'd be really cool to do that, but like for music.
Yeah.
More specifically for bass guitar. And when I started doing this stuff, I was doing like Nietzsche in the bass guitar and like really like far out concepts. But eventually I expanded it a little bit more to more things. And so that was very much an inspiration for what I wanted to do. Is I wanted to kind of tackle some of the subjects that Mike was doing with Idea Channel. But just in my domain for music, because I was always liked music, but I also liked history. I also liked art. I also liked a lot of things, so I wanted to tie them together into something.
You do that well.
Thank you very much. And that's the thing, is like I just wanted to do something. Nobody else was really doing it.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe it will work. I don't know. I'm going to try it. And it took a couple years of doing it before it really like took off, that idea. But I got very lucky in the fact that people wanted to listen to what I wanted to talk about. So, yeah.
When was the turning point for you?
Well, you're talking about algorithms. There was a moment in like October of 2016 where all of a sudden the YouTube algorithm shifted and started promoting videos. And that's a thing that we're kind of tied into, is like the algorithm. We all talk about the algorithm as this like magical thing that we bow and worship, and we don't know what it does.
It's unsubstantiated.
Yeah, it's exactly. It does have a fairly religious, quasi-superstitial element to it that we all talk about it. Like, what does it want? What does it want?
Because no one knows.
Yeah, so we pray to the algorithm and hope it blesses us. And it
give it lots of peace offerings.
Yeah, like
lots of offerings.
Lots of offerings.
Take this crap video. Take this crap video.
And I got blessed by the algorithm, and it was October of 2016 where a lot of my videos started getting promoted, and that like really helped me out. But it also like that's when it really took off, and when I knew that I have something like really cool. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy connecting with people this way. A lot of people like started calling me. There's another channel called Vsauce, and they do like a lot of science education type things, and they started calling me the Vsauce of music. And I'm like, okay, it's not really what I wanted to do, but at least now I have a thing. Now there's an identity to it, and that's when I knew I had a thing.
Do you attribute any of the turn in the algorithm or whatever? do you attribute any of it to you doing anything differently? Are you honing your craft, getting better, doing different stuff? Because I go back and watch old videos, and I'm like, I can't watch old videos.
Yeah, I'm constantly getting better, I think, or I hope I'm getting better. I'm constantly trying to improve stuff.
Because I doubt it's just the algorithm.
No, yeah.
Because if you've been doing it since 2006, chances are you got pretty damn good.
Which
you obviously did. But,
well, thank you.
But like that, it's not arbitrary, is my point.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not arbitrary. I, of course, spend a lot of time on like my craft. I don't do anything cynically. I don't do anything trying you know, like people will like this and I therefore will do this and I don't care about it. No, I only do things that I really care about and really am passionate about. And
I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, nobody can do that. Nobody can create on a constant basis without being really passionate about it, because you get burnt out and then forget about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously, like I treat it with as much care and attention to detail as I can. And I had a professor say that the key to success is try a little bit harder than everybody else and attention to detail. And like for some reason that stuck with me. Try a little harder than everybody else, which almost seems like fairly Darwinian, but that's what it is.
It's true though. Yeah. It's true though.
And attention to detail, like pay attention to what you're doing, and even if you don't know what it is that you're looking for, still look for it.
Yeah.
That's something that I've thought about, because a lot of the times I don't know what I know what I want, but I don't have the ability to get there yet, but I still am looking for ways to get there. And I think that's very important. And everybody and I forget who said this, but our taste is often exceeded by our ability. So. So we hear something we want to play, we see something online that we want to make, and we want to make it, but we don't have the ability to do it, and then we get frustrated. But a big part of the process is always keeping that like in the foreground, like our taste, and being able to constantly hone our skills so that we can get to that level, that we can match that.
Yeah.
And that's really what I think. Trying to constantly achieve the taste that, you know, maybe I don't have the ability to yet. I'm getting there. I'm not there yet.
Dude,
I'm getting there.
No, that's a good way to put it. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's play one more.
Oh yeah, sure.
And then
Let's
we'll
play music.
And then we'll do more talking about music.
Ah, oh yeah. All right.
Yep, go for it.
All right. Remember how to play. Okay. Oh, you want it?
I want all those.
Oh, you want? Okay. All right, there we go.
That is so funny. Take another one.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah, that's a nice chord down, huh?
Okay,
sweet.
So, you got to tell me about your musical background, because the fact that you sing all that stuff, play all that stuff, I mean, I very much struggle with outside playing. Mm-hmm. Very much. Like, my version of outside is chromatic nonsense.
I will give you the secret to chromatic playing, or the outside playing. Play a half step above or below where you're supposed to play, and then confidently get back into the original key you started in. So most of the stuff I was just doing, I just took the vocabulary I was using, shifted it, and then shifted it back. And that takes a while to really get used to. And I can tell you where I got a lot of it.
Please do.
Yes, okay. There's a book. It still blows my mind to this day. I went to graduate school at Manhattan School of Music, and there's this sax player named Dave Liebman that I studied with for 2 years, and he played with Miles Davis's band for 10 years, and he wrote this whole book called A Chromatic Approach to Jazz, Harmony, and Melody.
Sounds intense.
Oh, it's intense. It's too intense. It's a book that I still don't quite understand, but I got a lot of stuff from it, and the ideas that I got from it were, one, if you want to sound outside and make the funny, like, that sounded weird and cool, but it's confidence. Confidence is the big thing with all of that. Like, you just boldly go there, and it sounds right. Yeah. No matter, like,
just keep pushing.
Keep pushing, and as long as you, I heard the term, as long as you slam the door on your way back into, like, in that case, A Dorian, as long as you slam the door back in, when you just get back into it, it's going to sound right. And it takes a while to get used to. It takes a while to get used to for yourself. But it does open your ears to the possibility.
The main thing that I struggle with personally is that I've never really listened to jazz.
Yeah.
And so I don't really hear it in my head, you know? Like, I live in, country blues land.
Yeah,
and so, like, I feel like I have a strong, albeit I wouldn't call it basic, but a strong understanding of music theory. I went to school for, and I get it, but I don't. You hear those types of lines in my head, and so whenever I try things like that, okay, I'm gonna shift this up or shift this back one.
It sounds the first time you do it, it sounds bad. No matter how much jazz you have in your ear, it's gonna sound bad the first time you do it. The trick is to do it enough that it doesn't. The first time you speak a new language, it's gonna sound bad to your ears, and it's gonna sound bad to everybody else's ears too. But the more that you do it, the more confident you are in saying things. So that's my approach to it. And even still, like, I do that, and I'm like, nah, this is dumb. This is stupid. Another key to it is if it's rhythmically, if your ideas are rhythmically solid and you're playing with good time feel, anything is acceptable also. And that I got that from Victor Wooten. Like,
that makes sense to me.
Yeah, you play a note, and it doesn't matter as long as it's, like, still within the grid and you're still confident with it. Yeah. That's the secret, man.
So did you grow up playing? Was bass always your main instrument?
So I grew up a fairly musical household. My mom is a voice teacher, and Did
she teach you to sing?
No, she didn't. In fact, I learned how to sing, and I really don't know how to sing later in life. Most of the time, because your parents do something, you don't have anything to do with it, and then you come back around eventually.
That was literally my next question. So, like, I have kids, and I have drums, I have piano, I have tons of instruments in my house, and I'm like, if I want them to do it, they're not going to do it because it's daddy.
Right. It's like there's a push and pull there, and
So I play stuff a lot.
Yeah.
And I leave it out for them to play.
And do they hang out and noodle a little bit, or?
I mean, they play the drums and they hit the piano, because those things only require the hitting of something.
Okay, yeah. Very important. Yeah.
They don't require, the squeezing, the holding. It's just
you press and you hit. It's what most music is, pressing and hitting.
Well, yeah, and the piano's a percussion, based instrument. And so, like, when they come in my studio and they play the drums, like, you should see the joy on their faces because they can't believe they're allowed to be that loud.
Yeah.
They're just like, really? This is okay?
I can do this?
And I'm like, do it. And then he looks at me, he's like, as hard as he can. And he looks at me, and I'm like, yeah, but it's okay. He's like, and he does, like, the Muppets thing, and then comes back.
That's awesome.
Oh, dude, it's very cool. Okay, so your mom was a vocal teacher.
Yeah, and my dad wasn't a musician, but he was very musically literate, and he was actually the person to introduce me to Jaco Pastorius, great bass player. And when I first had an interest in bass, he made sure that I knew a lot of great bass players. And so Fairly musical household. I was really into like I guess new metal in the beginning, and then eventually progressive rock, and then eventually jazz. And I went to school for jazz at Berkeley in Boston, and then eventually graduate school for jazz. So a lot of jazz is running through this sort of thing.
Clearly.
It's a jazz, yeah. It's but at the same time, throughout all of that, I've developed like a lot of interest in different kinds of music and different kinds of contemporary music, really contemporary music, like electronic music, and things that I didn't really care for when I was in high school. And a big part of what I try and do sometimes with my own personal music is try and blend jazz and electronic music and other influences from like what's happening right now, what the kids are listening to these days.
What the kids are listening to. I watched this great interview with George Clinton.
Oh yeah.
And by the way, he gave the best interviews.
Oh my God.
Like, so anyway, so I forget who's interviewing him, and they ask him, how do you stay, relevant after all these years? And he goes, you got to listen to what the kids listen to. They don't want you to listen to it.
Yeah.
They don't want you to like what they like. You know what I mean? But he's like, but if you don't figure out why they dig what they dig, you're dead.
Yeah, I mean that's the philosophy of like Miles Davis, who was like just on the forefront of jazz music, popular jazz music, and then also pop music for about 50 years, from bebop, Birth of the Cool, until like
crazy avant-garde stuff.
Yeah, the avant-garde stuff, and then in the 80s he did all these kind of 80s funk type things, and was on talk shows and stuff. And to be that relevant, not that I'm trying to chase that relevancy, I want to learn new things about music.
Yeah.
New things are happening all the time. New techniques and new ideas, new concepts are happening all the time because of technology and because of cultural exchange and because of all different kinds of things. And I want to know more about that because that feels right. I don't want to be stuck in what I learned in the past. And jazz is amazing and jazz is great and a big part of my person really. But yeah, I just like learning about new things. That's a big thing.
Dude, and that's really what, this technology has done for us. Before, that process of getting exposed to new things was slow, and it was very region based. And like now with all the access we have around the world, I mean, it's seemingly endless. What we can hear from other people. Every single time I turn on my computer, I see someone share something, and it's some 7-year-old kid playing stuff I've never heard before, and I'm just like, it's so great that we can do this.
Yeah, and it's almost overwhelming at times.
Dude, it is overwhelming, man. It is, because like so that was one thing. Other thing I wanted to ask you, you already kind of answered it a little bit, but like the whole like picking your lane too. Like, is there so much outside stuff, and you can go on so many different tangents. Whenever I get the chance to talk to people, and they're like, oh, I want to do that. What should I do? I always tell people, it's like, well, just be you and try to find a niche and pick your lane. Like, try to be authentic, and not try to be somebody else. Because what I found on the internet is that, like you said the other day, people identify or like personalities. Like, they identify with people. It's not so much just the instrument, like the arbitrary thing. So just whatever makes you what you are, do that, and try to keep a lot of the noise at bay.
For sure. And you will always compare yourself and have other people compare you to other people.
Sure.
And I feel very strongly that the big part of being original or being authentic and developing a voice is ignoring all of the feelings of comparison. Comparison is a very dark sort of thing, even though it can be useful on if you're able to remove yourself from you and compare what you do to other people, that can be useful. But at the same time, we're emotional people, we're emotional human beings.
Yeah.
And that we get very clouded by seeing, like, for example, Jacob Collier is this pretty amazing, it's even hard to describe how amazing Jacob Collier is. He's this amazing young musician that does some pretty crazy avant-garde music theory things, but amazing. I just use superlative every day. Amazing musician, but because
I'm out of adjectives.
Yeah, I'm out of adjectives. But because he's a young jazz musician, I get compared to what he does a lot of the time and what he talks about. And that's unfair because I'm nowhere near as good as Jacob Collier. Right. But because I see that comparison all the time, I see what he's doing, and I want to talk about the same things that he's doing, I feel like I need to be as good as he is. And I always feel like this, oh no, I'm not as good as Jacob. I never will be good as Jacob Collier. but that's something that I wrestle with all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like all of us wrestle with this all the time.
Absolutely.
I see people all around me here at GUITCON being like, damn, you guys are really good at what you're doing. Jeez, like I should be better. But that's just a natural.
It's easy to feel that way.
It's a natural human feeling, and it's harder to combat that now because you see everything so much easier. But at the same time, you can be inspired because you see everything so much easier. So it's kind of this back and forth between the feeling of inadequacy and being inspired, the feeling of being inspired. Anyway, so that's my take on it. It's pretty incredible. It is pretty incredible, though.
Dude, yeah. Like I said, man, I just think it's so cool what you do and what so many other people here do, and that we even can do it.
Yeah.
I think it's just so neat, and especially just the collaborative vibe. Like I think that, again, we've talked about this off camera, that the people who are pretty astute realize that we're not actually each other's competition.
No. Like you were saying, like you.
The rising tide brings up all the shit.
I'm not competing with you. Nobody is competing with me. Nobody is competing with anybody else. It's it's cool.
We're literally scaling ourselves.
Yeah.
It's a wild concept.
That's nice. I like it.
Yeah. On that note,
all right.
we'll play one more.
Oh yeah.
But be sure to check the link in the description. You can check out his channel if you don't already follow him. And you gig around town, you have a band you want to plug? Got anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, well...
where can people find you?
You can find me at my channel, Adam Neely. Just search my name on YouTube. And I have a band called Sungazer. It's a duo project. If you'd like to check out Sungazer, we're on Spotify. So
gotcha.
Check out Sungazer.
Give me that link and I'll put it in the description.
I will do that.
Wait, a duo?
So we play with like electronic music, playing the tracks basically, and it's bass, drums, and weird synthesizers. So that's
awesome.
The thing. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, man.
And thanks for tuning in. And I don't know, give me a couple chords.
Okay, let's do like D minor to B flat. Why don't we do that sort of thing?
Sure. That's a cool groove.
Thank you.
Take another one.
Yeah, okay. Sounds so stupid. Never mind.
Do it.
Yeah. There we go. Sweet.
Thanks so much,
Yeah,
brother.
man, that was so much.
Fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, of course.